Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody is doing great on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon or night, wherever you are. This is Feedback and Friends, and I'm just kind of realizing that I jumped into this today because there's so much going on ILBC. So I'll talk a little bit, but I'm going to actually jump into feedback first and kind of wait for people to get going, and then maybe we'll talk more in a bit. What is up to Nick Beeman? How you doing, James Slack? And hello, my dear Nathaniel. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you, Isha. Also, I turned myself up, so hopefully it sounds all right on your end. This week, I'm looking forward to what everyone's got. I have had a fairly chill day so far. It's also nice outside, which makes a change because lately it's been all dreary and grey and also a little bit rainy. Aberdeen's going into autumn early, I guess.
Really? Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's still really hot here in Denver. We actually had to have the AC on last night. It is super intense. I'm glad it's cooling down for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you compare the average temperatures for Barcelona and Aberdeen, it's like 9 and 12.
Yeah.
Average for like October, and there it's still 20, 25. And I'm like, okay, great.
Well, I am super excited to hear what people have got going tonight. We have Kale the Plant first. Did Kale have anything specific? I already know I previewed this track. It's definitely super unique. So is Kale wanting it today?
They're looking for a good name for this track.
A good
and also thought, yeah,
Ooh.
A good name. I mean, at the very least, they're bound to get a decent monologue about naming out of me for that one.
Oh, all right. So let's just kick it off, and we've got a lot of exciting stuff that we are going to tell you in a bit. Don't mind me if I move around my room a little today while I'm listening to stuff. We just have that much going on that I'm kind of working on 3 things at once, so I can't wait to tell you what those are. But for now, we got Kale the Plant. Let's think of a name for their track. Yeah, I had to play. That was unique, Natty. I'm gonna let you go off on that one.
Well, first of all, I'll say thank you to Kirino My Waifu 123. I mean, that's certainly a track that would get some people talking. So first time talking, not surprised. It's an interesting track. A name for it though. I mean, first, I usually go to what sort of scene the track conjures, and this one for a minute I thought, oh, it's some sort of dance thing, it's fairly Spanish sounding in that respect, people are suggesting what was it?
I would call it. I have a suggestion.
Fiesta or Carnivale.
I have a suggestion. Last Night in Cancun. That's my suggestion. It kind of reminds me of, like you go to the stupid resort, you drink your face off, you eat your face off, you lie like a vegetable, like a potato, and then the last night out, you're like, wow, this is so like privileged and boring of me. I should really go and explore the reality. So you go out and you start drinking like cheaper margaritas from outside the resort, and before you know it, you're just on the end of a dirt road and you don't know where you are and you got to get back. That was the imagery I was getting. So my suggestion is Last Night in Cancun.
See, as the track developed, my image is, I guess, similarly crazy, but for a completely different reason. Mm-hmm. My brain sort of started going like, I don't know, Pink Panther.
Oh yeah, that too. That's super cool.
That's. But I mean, I'm thinking of just someone like a thief running away, but they're not stealing anything valuable either. It's just like a loaf of bread or something, and the baker's chasing them across town. And everyone keeps getting pissed off at them as they run into the stalls and stuff, and it's just something really, really silly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it deserves a cartoon sequence. That's kind of the whole thing. So I mean, aren't you not supposed to remember the Last Night in Cancun?
Well, exactly. I think it's both experiencing it was like that and trying to remember it is like that. Da 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 da. What was I doing? I don't even know. Ooh ooh ooh.
I mean, it's so hard to critique this one as well because, on the one hand, I love the energy, but it's so constant. I feel like there needs to be a couple of quieter moments in the track.
Yeah, it doesn't breathe a lot. And, that was what I was going to say is, I like the idea that you're playing with of doing, radical panning and stuff. But I think that in the context of just having mostly brass, it gets a little bit weird. What I would kind of do maybe is, resample that brass and have a section that goes weird, but maybe is a little bit more synthetic. And then also drastic panning. Usually I would say just dial it back 10%. You don't need, minus 64 plus 64. You could do, 32 or even 48 if you want to go wild, but a lot of the time having just a little compromise is better in this context than just having a normal orchestra instead of having it go whoa 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 whoa, so it's a little bit, I think you should take risks. I'm not telling you not to, but I think you have to make them a little bit more sort of deliberate instead of just having somebody go, what just happened to the stereo there, you know what I mean? So
I mean, reference tracks is always a good thing, and obviously you're like, well, where do you get a reference track for this? This is an EDM server. What are you going to recommend? I'm going to recommend the Pokemon soundtracks for Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the memes for that generation is literally just 99% of the instruments can be replaced to brass, and it still works because it's mostly brass already.
Yeah, exactly. So I would definitely...
Caravan Palace, I guess, but that's if you want a really modern production. Caravan Palace is a pop act in their own way, really.
Oh, I love Caravan Palace.
This is not a pop track. And I don't think it would benefit from that style of production.
Yeah.
Something more soundtracky, I think, would be more appropriate.
Exactly.
You didn't hear the track? Well, don't comment then. Back out, you're confusing me.
Oh, dear. All right. Well, Brayman has submitted something. The waveform is very interesting, so I'm not really sure what to expect. It's it looks like a 30 seconds and then a bunch of extra silence. But did Brayman have anything to say about this track?
Working on a rough sketch. I'm looking for feedback on the overall mix and vibe of the piece.
All right.
I rushed the song structure so I can submit this, so I know it's somewhat repetitive. Any other feedback is welcome. Just trying to learn to blend electronic and orchestral instruments.
Fair enough. I told myself I was going to be on guard for that abrupt ending, and it almost got me.
It caught you off a little bit there.
No, it just got started. You know what? For being a loop, I actually enjoyed it. Like, I didn't at any moment get bothered by the repetition, because I think that you have some cool textures and they're nicely balanced. So it's pleasing. So that's a good start. I mean, that is a really good start. If like already you can do a loop and I'm not like, oh God, stop looping, right? So I think your elements are in place. The melody personally for me is a little bit super happy, which I know is kind of like, it's this tricky thing when you have this kawaii video game style, right? Is that how do you be happy and positive and not just come across as like insurance commercial? There's like sort of a line. And I think that maybe what you could do if you were really loving the chords, and that's the most important thing for you, is to try and texturize your sounds just a little bit. Like maybe play with some other plucks, maybe do some Hocket melody, or just give it a little bit more dimension, because right now with the simple plucks and the repetitive elements and then the happy melody on top, it does come across as a little bit, here's one of my favorite words that no one uses but me and books that I've read, is cloying. The word cloying, I end up using.
That's a very old school word, that one.
You're
showing your age there, Isha. You're 18th century
I'm
age.
not 900 years old, all right? I just enjoy, and the definition, by the way, for anyone who's just like hearing this word, fun vocabulary, we should have vocabulary of the week too. Why not? We're both like language lovers. It's just sort of like,
yes,
is to have too much of sweetness, right? Like cupcakes can be cloying. They can be super oversweet. And I think that to keep this less cloying, pull back a little bit and texturize, and maybe give some like organic stuff or just something to give an edge to it somehow. It doesn't have to be melodically. It could be sonically, but just work on doing that if you want to keep that positive melody. I don't know. What do you think, Natty?
I mean, for me, often if I want to make it less cloying, I tend to rely a lot on the bass frequencies, which this doesn't have a lot of right now. You can have a lot of tension with ever so slight dissonant elements within your bass sounds, especially when a track like this it's down tempo, so you can have things pulsing in, pumping in and out with a decent sidechain on them, and actually sort of that takes it away from being so happy-go-lucky and more, okay, they're happy, but it still has grounding to it. They're not just out with the fairies up in the clouds kind of thing. It's like they're having a good day, but they're still putting effort in.
They're not just dancing with the fairies. They're rolling up their sleeves and digging in, building a railroad with those fairies. Sorry.
Yes.
I don't know what's gotten into me today already. It's hot.
I love it, though. This is great energy.
Great energy tonight. Sometimes when it's just the two of us, you know, I feel like I feel like a little more free to just be ridiculous, like there's extra time.
I think as well, we just have it's the type of banter me and you specifically have, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chaos.
So yeah, thanks. Some people in the chat, new people, please, you know, all you have to do is type help queue or link queue and you'll get the link to the submission sheet. Super easy. It looks like it's a chill summer day. So this is like the best day to get into feedback if you haven't, because we have so much room. But since everybody is here now, I want to just talk about the remix contest that we have going on right now with Audius and You Suck at Producing. If you don't know Underbelly, wowzers, get a clue. Underbelly is amazing. So first prize in this competition wins $500, second wins $300, and third wins $200. And all you have to do is grab the stems from this link. I noticed that Underbelly has not put it as artist pick. Wowzers, got to get on that, bro. But it's on his Audius. And you have to be in our Discord. You have to be in the You Suck at Producing Discord, and you have to be in the Audius Discord. This is kind of a Discord collab. So you can submit using the stems, tag it as a remix. We've already got a few up here. You know, I'm really excited. I've only briefly listened to some of them, but it's a really cool song. I'm proud of it. It kind of goes through like bossa nova and trap and house and disco, and there's so much more going on. Okay, so check this out. There's also an ILBC round with live performance competition, and we still may have room for one contestant. So if you are interested in submitting, September 14th we are going to do this live, and it's going to co-stream on the You Suck at Producing. So you just have to submit. Tell us about your live show on this form. We already have some great contestants. This is ilbc.tv/virtual round. So if you are interested more, go there. Final last twist. Some of you may have seen the Jam Pro app that we all play with. Natty, myself, Monica, pretty much everybody at ILBC is connected to Jam Pro because, truth be told, Jam Pro is the app that started this whole thing. Was they wanted to develop a community. They wanted to get people out there literally jamming. So I'm going to come back in a bit and show you a little video. But what we've done with these audio stems is we have made it into a Jam Pro pack. So for a limited time only. No. What's the catch? There's no catch. You can get the app for free and play with the pack, and you can even do your remix inside of there. So really, really stoked to that. Like I said, I'll show you some more later. I want to keep going on the feedback because the energy is good. We got... sorry, Brayman, I just noticed your artist name was Weekend Ritual. Y'all got to start using consistency.
That's a recent change.
Yeah, that's super. Like, I would highly recommend, if you can, like one of the best promo simple things is use the same name on everything. Like, if you have an artist name, change your Discord name to be that, and just to keep consistency, right? Like, so people start to know, because I think Brayman is a cool name too. Like, to me, it sounds like an artist name. So hard for me to miss, or hard for me not to miss. I don't know. I need some caffeine. I think that's the answer. I don't think I've had enough coffee. I have not had enough coffee. Coffee today. Thankfully, we have...
We're going throwback to old memes.
Wow. Thankfully, we have Nick Beeman on, and Nick kind of knows our crap, and Nick hopefully can put up with us. Does Nick have a comment that you can read while I pull myself together?
No.
Okay. Cool. Nick, we love you. We will give you feedback. We love your tune.
Please leave a comment next time, though, please, Nick.
absolutely lovely piece. I am digging this big time. I'm gonna give you a compliment I have not given anybody on this show before, which is that this reminds me of one of my favorite all-time artists, Telephone Tel Aviv. If you're familiar or not, I would definitely recommend checking out their stuff. Like, that is just some far out atmospherics. This is beautiful. I do agree with like some other people in the chat saying that this glitchiness, I think you have to be careful because the rest of this track is so delicate and beautiful. I feel like the glitchiness, it's great. I like having it there. If this were a cooking show, I would say it provides a nice crunch to all the soft flavors. But I do think that maybe it could be controlled a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I'd have to like listen closer. Maybe even some enveloping of the glitch noise, and maybe a little bit of EQing. Natty, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's super beautiful. It's just a little bit out of control.
The distortion's in the wrong area is the problem. It's in the wrong harmonic range. You've got all these sparkly, twinkly synths and stuff, and that's occupying your high end. And then you're trying to squeeze in a distortion profile that's also in that same high end space. It's like all upper mid range. When what you really want is to look at more, change it more to a lower bit crushed bass sound. Something along that sort of line, where yes, it's distorted, but it's kind of just peaking up over into the mid-range, but it's still mostly sub and bass information. Because right now, it's kind of like they're competing for both the frequency space, but also your song is so mono that they're also competing for general actual space within the track and the stereo mix of it. I mean, but if you pull everything down, you'll be able to get away with it sounding this sort of lo-fi, like everything's run through 2 tape decks kind of thing. Which would have limited stereo range as an aesthetic choice as well there. But you need to pull that distortion down because right now it's just the harmonic information is wrong to the point where it sounds almost like somebody's spitting in the mic.
Oh, good call, Natty. I think that is what it is because when I think of what I wanted to do, it's more like top end clicks and like almost like I almost hear like an old grandfather clock, you know, like that delicious sort of heavy, crispy ticking. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just like I'm thinking like that thick clock ticking. That's the range of distortion that I want to hear. I agree with Natty that it's a bit too low. It's like when an MC is like this in the mic, you know, with the distortion. So super smart as usual, but otherwise I freaking love it. I think you could strip all the distortion and glitchy parts and just release the pads as like Yoga Chill Playlist Volume 7, and then you would probably make like at least $100 from Spotify. But seriously, like this kind of music is so great to just listen to and chill out to, and it's interesting. It's like I kid, but this is like chill music that has depth and has a story to it, which is far different than somebody Paul stretching a single pad for 5 minutes, which a friend of mine actually did and sold as a yoga track once. Why not?
Yoga people might have no standards. That could be the answer to that one.
Hey, yoga people are fine, all right? It's you that's the problem. Namaste, biatch.
If this doesn't get us more subscribers, nothing will.
It's true. Who needs mic licking when you have just heat exhaustion and ridicule? Woo! Speaking of that, we have our old friend Baco up next. We never really know what Baco is going to do. What is Baco?
He's definitely unpredictable.
All right. SoundCloud is trying to give me ads because I didn't sign in. So let me just take care of that. I was like, what is this? What is this hyper voice going on? All right, go. Come on, don't give me ads. Did Baco have any comments to read while I get my SoundCloud going?
You have heard this before. I reworked the guitar with my friends playing. Since I have a session fairly close to hand, I was wondering if you think I should add anything. The piece is fairly sparse, but that's the style that that's the style of the original track that inspired it. I tend to overstuff things into my tracks, and I was curious what your thoughts were before I did anything. As always, thanks. And thank you, Baco. I mean, you made some interesting improvements to the cue management, and I then immediately apparently forgot how to use it. So I fixed that now. I figured out what's going on.
Oh, cool. Is that fixed? I don't even know how to do it. Baco is writing this cool thing where it'll actually display like people up next in the queue. So as soon as I figure out how to display it, that'd be great.
Catastrophe and everything in between is driving me crazy. My daddy says that men are no good for me, but honestly I disagree, because I can't get over you.
Okay, wow. It's so interesting to me. I swear every week that goes by, I further and further believe in collective unconscious brainwaves and creativity, because every week there is a theme. And this week we seem to be like kind of cinematic, rock, pop, ambient kind of thing. I'm digging this. Yeah, I really love this track. I like the minimalism and all the things that you mentioned about it. I do think there is some stuff that is a little bit strange in a couple ways. And one of them is some of the sounds sound electronic, but not leaning hard enough into it. Like, what I mean is the whole thing sounds acoustic and like you're trying to use the appropriate traditional instruments, but some of them are electronic. So I feel like in this situation, you have to go one way or the other. You have to either use a totally real, maybe drum kit or a more realistic kick, or you have to go like totally synthetic. I like your drums, but there was just something about the whole that my brain was registering as like, this isn't quite right. And so I think that perhaps maybe it's not the kick per se, maybe it's just like the combination of instruments, something about the drums tells my ears that this isn't real, and I'm being tripped out on it on a way that I wouldn't be tripped out listening to like rhythm or whatever, because super EDM stuff is so unreal that your brain doesn't even make that expectation in the first place. So that would be my main thing. And then the other thing, the panning is such a tough thing, right? Like, you have these old 60s records that are mixed like you've done here, where like the guitar is on one side and other stuff is on the other. But I kind of feel like in a modern context, with the way that sound systems are and everything, it can sound too weird to have something entirely on one side for the whole thing. Like the way I hear this kind of panning work in a modern context is like maybe you've got a rhythm guitar and that's on the left, but then you have a little top end guitar that's like a second part that's kind of just, I don't know, comping like and maybe that can be a bit on the right. And so if you have those two similar kind of elements and you pan them and they're going on, that sounds more right than just having one guitar that's always in my left ear for the entire song. So I think that maybe like either compromising, like I've said before, like pulling your panning in a bit or alternating, or like maybe if you're going to have your friends stuff on the left and you really like that, what about like doing a crazy reverb and just panning the reverb a bit to the right, just giving the ear something to balance it out a bit. It's very it's a little bit off balance, and it just kind of disconcerts me in the context that you've made it. But I like the song quite a lot. Natty?
I mean, there's minimalism, and then there's also a case where if you're doing minimalism, you kind of have to lavishly appreciate every element in it. And there's a few things I don't feel like achieved that. Like, the guitar in itself sounds good, but I also feel like we needed a section that was just the guitar shredding out into the space.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like, I feel like, you know, that would sort of cement this track as a really emotional one, because like right now you haven't quite hit that crescendo of longing and lust and general, my heart is aching, please I cut it out or say yes. And, you know, the like a really long series of guitar notes that are shredding and just sort of like
Amazing. Oh, oh, we're gonna have one of those clippable days. All right, who do we got up? Cue. We're gonna keep the queue. We're gonna try and move fast. We got a lot of new people, but I want to tell you something. If you're new and you haven't tuned in before, there is a way you can hack this. If you're at the end of the queue and you're like, oh gosh, I don't have all day, but I got a couple bucks. There's two ways that you can tip us to jump the queue. You can send through the link that is scrolling at the bottom, streamlabs.com/ILBC_TV. You can send us $3 and that skips the queue. You can send us $5 and we will listen to the entire track and give you our deluxe feedback, which means that Nathaniel will gently roll.
Skipper.
We have a queue skipper, so this is going to be a great example. And then you can also subscribe to us on Twitch. I know it doesn't get you a lot right now. Be patient. We are going so BALLS to the wall with our competitions that, you know, going forward there will be more online bonuses and stuff. But subscribing will give you the same thing as donating for deluxe feedback. So you can donate $5 and get deluxe feedback. So who is Huss? That is my... Did you send me a link?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so good. I love you.
I did send you a...
So Huss, what does Huss want out of life, the universe, and everything?
Overall mix.
Overall, oh wow.
Overall mix.
Overall mix. Sunday. All right, let us... I'm losing. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. Full disclosure, I woke up at sunrise to film a video, and then I went back to sleep, and then I had this really awful dream that my dad had just paid $500,000 to enroll me in some new Berkeley program, and I couldn't tell him I didn't want to go because he couldn't get a refund. So I was walking around in my dream being like, "Hey guys, yeah, I'm going to school for Broadway show tunes. Yeah, it's gonna be great." But then in my mind, I was like, my life is over, and then I woke up and I was like, this didn't really happen. So that's made me very loopy and tired today. But let's go, Huss. Thank you for the donation. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into the International Live Beat channel, where we organize events, competitions, mentorships, workshops, and feedback for you. All right. So, cool story, bro. Like, seriously, no. I'm not being mean. It is cool, but at this point, I wanted to do something else. Like, right up until like 2.5 minutes, I think I was pretty engaged. And I was like, all right, this has got a good groove. You know, it's not my thing, but it's cool. It's bumping. It's pleasant. I get it. And then I kind of just went over and over again. And I agree with the chat is that there's something strangely delicate about this mix when it needs to kind of lean into that 303 hard and punch a little bit more. Like, this is the type of mix down that I think goes well with like glitchy, chill, ambient. There's a lot of really like delicate highs. And the compliment I want to give you is that like it's really nice when stuff doesn't hurt your ears, when it's not too resonant, when it's not too distorted, right? Like, this is lovely. This is sitting just fine. However, your style wants to punch me in the face, so let it. Like, do not hold back here. Like, go a little bit harder. I'd love to ask the chat. I think there's so many distortions out there today. Some of them are multi-band, some of them have weird algorithms. Like, maybe I would love to hear some of your favorite distortions in the chat. And I'm going to give you a couple of mine right now. I really love unfiltered audio distortions. They make indent and they make dent. I can show those off a bit later, but you can basically like route those in the same way you would modular synths. You can patch LFOs to other parts of the distortion. I also really love Rift, minimal audio Rift. Yes, Chase said Rift in the chat. Rift is so cool. It's designed by this guy that I used to know that used to play shows out at bass shows with the rest of us. And somehow, while we were all busy touring around and being trash, he like developed one of the coolest distortions I've ever seen. So I would play with some more distortions on this, like get some more textures out of it and go hard. Like, this wants to go hard, so go as hard as it wants you to go. Some other things from the chat. Sunny the Skies likes the built-in distortion. I agree. That's a really nice one as well. Baco Bibizo is telling us that Ableton stock is inflator when on soft clip. I love that. Reboos likes Isotope Trash and Fab Filter Saturn. I also love Saturn. That's a good one. Trash, I've heard some conflicting things about because I used to use it a lot. And then somebody told me that the phase delay is so bad between the bands that it creates a lot of smearing and shifting. And that's somebody who was actually the professor of music tech at Berkeley, Valencia before I was. So it is somebody that I listen to. So I tend to only use Trash for offline processing. I don't know if any of you have had that experience. Natty, what's your favorite distortion?
I mean, I actually use Trash. But I mean, the problem is with Trash is sometimes it can actually just thin out a sound more than you'd otherwise want. And if you don't sit and tweak every parameter, a lot of the presets are kind of unusable. Like in a creative manner. Like if you just want to create some weird mush that you can then chuck into Serum or Vital and resampled, yeah, fine. But by itself, it takes a lot of work to actually get it to sound good. And so I tend to stick to really basic stuff in trash. Like I'll use one distortion cabinet preset and then have it like using a sidechain filter to some other track.
Whoa.
And then that's sort of creating a dynamic.
You see
But, like,
Ebitron saying
you know,
that it's built into Neutron 4 now? I didn't know that, actually. That is cool, I guess. I bet you they improved. They must have improved that.
they must have done. Neutron's got a high standard, at least you'd hope it would anyway, given, it's up there with their Neutron and what's the other one? The cleanup one?
The RX is a
yeah.
lifesaver. You know, the last 3 years living in paper-thin wall apartments in Valencia, I had to basically just run RX 3 times on every vocal take I took. It was brutal. Like I don't actually think I could have recorded my splice sample pack that people use in that environment. But that is a great plugin. Shout out RX. Sorry, Natty. I monologued. Do you have a monologue?
No, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, like you said. You said you're loopy and Natty doing monologuing, but you're doing it just fine.
Whee!
This track gives me an almost X-Files vibe. I mean, like at the start you had sort of this sort of basic analog pads, and then you added this sort of organic percussion. And I mean, I think it's definitely a theme tonight. We're getting a lot of soundtracky stuff so far. So I mean, yes, I wanted to slap more to really really be heavy. When you're hitting us with a bass like that, you need to make sure that nobody can ignore it from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
If I have that on my soundbar, I want my neighbors to know about it. And right now, in its current state, I mean, I don't think they get the wall shaking they deserve.
You're gonna get that wall shaking girl tonight. Sorry.
Oh, and
I'm always like this. The answer is yes for anybody who happens to
Yes.
be wondering.
I mean,
Ask nobody.
add more percussion. Like, I think if you're gonna go that sort of direction, this is sort of dark electro kind of thing. You need more different types of percussion. Go a little bit industrial in places. Have more cowbell, because I've noticed there's nothing in that sort of region. So have some cowbell. Put some cowbell. It's fine. Then you can also strip back. So we're just getting this full-on percussion ensemble kind of driving us along with all this energy, and then you reintroduce the bass again and we're like, oh my god, we missed you, but we didn't didn't hate missing you, we just miss you, and now you're back and it's great. And need something like that in the middle, because you kind of just get to the point where you peak with your bass and then that's it just keeps going for no reason. So I mean, once you add that deliberate transition and deliberate intention in the progression of the track, I think it'll work a lot better. Also, everyone's approving the cowbell. Throw a cowbell into Serum and make it into a color bass. I guess. I mean, can you theoretically make anything into a color bass?
Yeah,
Because I thought that's
color
kind of the
bass
whole
just
point of color
sounds.
bass.
Yeah, it sounds like sounds just stretched out. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody. We just had a nice glut of donations, which really, basically this just keeps us going. I would say that this turns the lights on, but this turns the cool, high-tech, app-controlled lights on. This now allows us to keep exploring more tech and holding more rounds. So really, really excited. You guys will be next in the queue, you folks. And also, I just wanted to pop in again, since so many new people are here, ILBC, this is our community, but we're also a challenge for live electronic performance, and we have our next round coming up live September 14th, which is also a Wednesday. It's going to be more oriented to the US time zone, so I would stay up late if you can. It's worth it. We have so many cool contestants. I think we've just started announcing them, so I just want to show real quick kind of stuff, and we still have room for one more. So you could win prizes. You could win Native Instruments Complete 3. You could win Loop Masters pack. You could win a lot of other things. So let me just actually show you what's going on. We've had 2 rounds now, one in New York and one in Bristol. You can actually watch all the videos of people who won. Our last round had Phoenica winning. She played with a live snake in her hair, and she plays 7 instruments. So, oh God, it's going to make me log in. So I'm not going to show you that right now.
Oh no.
because I'm in the thing, but you can watch like live performances here. And we just announced our first contestant for the next round, which is really Ryan, who does live audio visual sets with a MIDI theremin, a launch pad, and some other really, really cool stuff. So I'm going to go back to
You
that.
forgot one other thing as well.
What did I forget?
For that person who might get in if they submit now for entry, it's a virtual round. So don't feel like you have to be anywhere. You can do it from the comfort of your bedroom or your bathroom or your living room.
If you do any kind of live set and you're interested in being a part, just go to ilbc.tv/virtual round and you can submit there. And we are also holding
do it for your hot tub.
Oh my God. We are also going to do a Jam Pro special side remix competition. So if you want to download the stems for the remix contest and put them into Jam Pro, you can as well. So our co-founder of ILBC, Matt, has already gone and done it. He has already made a set that in the Jam Pro thing. So if you want access to this, if you want to try the app for free, all you need is a phone or a tablet, and you can actually do a full remix this way. Like, check this out.
It's iOS version.
iOS version.
The phone one.
So you can do live effects, you can chop stuff up.
Better jump in freezing water than just to try and wait it out. Get lost inside a maze mirror. Things are clearer. Be here. And now we face the air so.
Okay, so if you would like to get your hands on this, if you would like to try the app and you would like to maybe even do a remix in this, because there will be a special prize, so now you have another link, ilbc.tv/remixcomp. I think that's the right link. Yes. So this will give you all the information on the Audius contest and what you need to do, as well as how you can sign up to get free Jam Pro app and do like a fun remix like this. So ilbc.tv/remixcomp if you want to get involved. Maybe I'll scroll the links in a bit. Next, let's get back to our wonderfully generous Q skipping hot and tootin' donators. Yeah, I'm losing it already. So we have Ebitron. Thank you so much, Ebitron, and a track called Moonsail. We'll be giving the deluxe feedback. All right, let's do the thing.
Deluxe feedback.
Super, super nice, chill vibes. I definitely love this kind of music. A track called Moonsail. Speaking of great titles, that is a great title. That is like exactly the vibe I get for this track. And I hate SoundCloud. I hate SoundCloud so much. Like, why do you assume that you should just autoplay whatever you feel like? SoundCloud is like that crappy, overexcited wannabe DJ that hovers next to you on the decks and like waits for you to go pee so that they can jump in and take over the aux. I said it. SoundCloud, you are a wannabe. I really...
What's TikTok then?
I really think that there's a couple of things that would make this track like just super dope. For one, I'm not sure. I don't have my sub pack on today because there's some strange routing and missing adapters. Long story. So I'm just listening in my headphones, and what I hear is a sub that's an octave too high. So I don't know if you have one that's an octave lower that's sitting underneath that and you've put one an octave higher so we can hear it. But if that's what you're doing, it's not quite working. And if that's not what you're doing, you need a sub that's an octave lower. And this is a super, super common mistake that a lot of my newer students make is they just go, okay, bass, this is the bass. I can hear it and it's kind of low. That's like the upper end of the bass range. That's not like the sub bass range. That is the harmonic edge that people listening on phones and things with no basses need. So it's a super important range, but you need that deep low sub. Like this kind of music is made to be played on like a big deep system in the middle of a forest, you know, and I need that super low bass note. So I really want to hear that. And then on the upper one, that notes that you have, I would like some more definitions, some more enveloping. I would like it to sort of come in and out a little bit more gracefully, because right now it's just kind of going boom, 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 boom. Like it could use a little bit more of maybe a tail, a little, yeah, exactly. Like think about negative space. Think about how it's actually just as important to shape the way that your sounds are leaving as they are arriving. Like a lot of people, their sounds are just arrival, 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 arrival. I didn't even think about how you would exit. And the way that you exit is part of the push and pull. That is what compression does. That gives you a push and pull. That is what envelope following and enveloping in general does. Everything that you can do to just sort of give the ends a little bit more depth and motion, and then that sub for me is like the non-negotiable thing. Like I think this is an objective thing. I need to feel that sub an octave lower. Do you know what I mean, Nathaniel?
I know what you mean.
Am I doing it right?
I know. We could just drink milkshakes on stream.
Oh, ooh, that sounds good. Froyo? Can we eat froyo? If I can find if I can find an excuse to write froyo off, that would be amazing. Oh, somebody just said ear candy. Okay, sorry, off topic.
Anyway, my feedback for this track. They were asking whether the mix was was muddy or too thin. And it's not really a mixing thing. It's more of just your mix. It sounds fine. It just sounds like there's not the track itself isn't finished. And I think that's a big part of what Isha's saying here with the sub bass is like, you know, when you're missing elements, your mix can still be technically fine because you're mixing what you have correctly. So I wouldn't worry about that, but you need to worry about whether the actual track itself is finished. And right now, I think there's a couple of good comments in the chat here about resolution. Stasis Stigma couldn't quite decide what chord format they were meaning. They were going, I'd love to have a fourth chord in this progression, either 1 2 1 4 or 1 2 1 3. I guess they mean the latter because they corrected themselves. So also, hi, people from Discord, we love you. It's first time. How is this your first time chatting in here? We've been doing, I don't know. Is it new account or just Discord normally? Anyway,
he's been signing in on his mic licking account by mistake. He's sorry. Go, please talk.
I also love the name as well. It's a great name for the track, but I mean, as much as you need to consider when elements are coming in and how they're exiting, you also need to consider how your track exits. I mean, it's one thing to expect a DJ to just cut half the track out and continue on, but when people are listening in isolated, like circumstance like we are now, or they're on Spotify or whatever, it's nice to give them a nice outro that actually makes it feel like the track's done saying what it's trying to say. And right now you haven't quite gotten there. You've just sort of faded out effectively, because you never bothered changing the progression to such a degree in any part of the song. The start feels like the end. Again, that's not a mix thing. That's an arrangement and composition thing. So I mean, that's kind of where I'd go back through, is, hum over the top of it as well. If there's anything missing, you'll be able to fill the gaps with yourself. And then you can start working out, okay, well, what does that mean? Is the sounds that I'm humming here, is it all short little things? Maybe it's an arp, or it's percussion, and I'm sitting there going on the table there because I've realized there's a percussive gap. And then you could start sound designing around your immediate reaction to it, rather than just guessing, because that's not always efficient.
It's true. Wow, you need to fill the gaps for yourself. I think that's my life motivational quote for the day. I'm going to work on filling those gaps just for myself, nobody else. Gap filling, that's me. Epoxy at Home Depot, got it. All right.
You got a bag of sawdust in the corner, haven't you?
We are just on fire today. I would just like to say, I mean, both of us. I think it's okay if I say we. I think you can say anything as long as you say we. We are awesome today. Speaking of awesome, thank you to Emil Walter for your generous donation. We are also going to be skipping Q, and thank you, really thank you. It keeps us going. And your track is called Get Out of My Head. Is there any specific comment wanted on this?
Any feedback welcome. Arrangement, writing, mixing, mastering. My own sound, vocal chop lead.
All right. Thank you for that emphasis on your syllables that makes you sound like a real human.
Hold me close, tell me that you
my God, that was party central. It was good vibes. I mean, I love our ambient theme tonight, but it's fun to just like jump up a little bit. So, yeah, as other people said, that was definitely like playlist material. That was a feel good time. I agree with I think it was Stasis in the chat that said that the intro didn't do it justice. Like when I heard the intro, I was sort of expecting, all right, this is what it is and it's cool, right? That's it. But then the intro or the drop kicked in and I was like, oh wow, like this is really, really great groove. I love it. Yeah. So what, Natty, do you have thoughts on that? I don't really have a lot to say because to me that sounded pretty complete.
I mean, I think you could get away with something that's kind of it, in some contexts, can be a really annoying trope, but I think would work really well here. Mm-hmm. Have your final chorus just go up a key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody noticed anything.
It's that really annoying pop trope, but at the same time here, with this sort of loose party vibe, I think it would work really, really well just to close it out. Like, the actual track is fine. Everything sits fairly nicely. I wouldn't worry too much about the mix, although a couple of people were saying that they think a little bit more attention could be towards the bass. Bacco thinks there's a little bit of mud there, which, I mean, maybe it's sometimes worth just going over a fine-tooth comb at the end of a project, saying, okay, is there definitely everything I cut out need to be cut out kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I just go up a key, and your final chorus, I think, that would sort of be the home run for this track. Where, you've got everyone realizing, yes, this is the final round, which is always a good thing. But also, it's like, it doesn't change the fundamentals of your track. Like, it's still the same energy. It's just, okay, now it's a little bit more. And, I mean, in some examples of that, I find it lacks imagination, to be honest. But the fact you haven't tried it here means I think it could actually be that stroke of brilliance. That one thing where, in every other context, it's a bad one. The thing. I like your you said that you were using vocals for your lead sound. I mean, that was with this one, right? I'm pretty sure. Or was that the last? No, was that the last one? I don't know. I've lost track.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was this one. Yeah, vocal chop lead.
I mean, yeah, we are being picky. We are being picky, like in the chat, but it's only because this is really good and there's not that much to say. So we are just trying.
We want to give you at least something.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, it was a fun vibe and a nice breakup from the last few things, which have been somewhat intense in their own way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. That was like a fabulous track, and definitely put that out. Let us know. We love promoting our members' tracks to our community. So please let us know when you have new releases like that. Like this is super fire. Natty has a playlist, an EDM playlist, and if your release,
oh god, it's so out of date.
It's so out of date, but help him. Send him your new tune, and he'll stick it. You'd put that in the playlist, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that one would go in the playlist easily. It's more than fun enough.
More than fun enough.
Like fun.
Is that the criteria, or you don't have any sad songs in the playlist, bro?
I mean, I think there probably are a couple.
You can't not put sad songs on a Discord playlist. Why are we even on Discord? Just kidding. All right. Thank you.
Our Discord is a home of misery and torment.
Well, no, Discord itself, the phrase misery loves company is sort of like the backbone of the creation of the platform, isn't it? And I'm saying this out of love because I'm a Discord addict.
Lonely gamers.
By the way. Diego, thank you for your donation. We will have Diego and then we'll have Kat Kamato. And I don't know if Baco put another track or if they just donated because they love us, but we love you too. All right.
We love you all.
Any and all feedback. So deluxe, let's deluxe it for Diego. Well, that caught me off guard. I was not ready for that to end. That was so good. Diego, EDM or no EDM, we definitely don't actually have that as a criteria. Fun fact, I mean, technically we call ourselves the Electronic Music Production and Performance Discord. But let's be honest, that's kind of long and unwieldy. So we've mostly stuck with our name of EDMP Discord, but the only reason we're called that is because there is a Reddit attached to us that is EDM production. However, we make all kinds of music. We love chill, rock, pop, whatever, all those made-up genres on Spotify. Those are all cool too. Escape room, vapor trap, post-polka, dubstep, pre-Cambrian, Stegosaurus.
Lester Indie.
Yeah, I think instead of we should just name things after dinosaurs. I don't want to make rhythm anymore. I want to make Velociraptor.
I mean, I'm surprised there isn't anyone who's like Raptor Core.
Raptor Core.
I mean, have you seen that Twitter account that's replacing famous actors in roles with a Velociraptor making screeching sounds?
No.
And they've done like Rick Astley and Singing in the Rain and...
Singing in the rain. But yeah, Diego, this is actually... I was going to say, this is not EDM, because EDM is such a stupid term that I think, I would be happy if that starts to disappear. But it is electronic music, like 100%, and it's super, super cool. I love your drum programming, just like Chase said. I definitely don't think enough people program with a slump. Like, just that little, all kind of goes back to J Dilla. Super, super cool workshop that I teach for advanced students sometimes is basically how to get in the pocket, how to loosen up, how to make your drums just neck brace is what we call it, because it makes you nod your head so hard. So if in the Bay Area where I used to live, that if we liked the beat, it would be I need a neck brace. So I need that neck brace from your track. That is dope. And I love the guitar. The only thing I would pick at a little bit is the synth lead, the little... It actually is so much like what I used to make when I started. I love those kind of jazzy pentatonic melodies. They're really cool. I think you could tweak it just a little bit. It is a little bit less exciting than the rest of your track. I think maybe try changing not just a couple of notes, but maybe filtering it a little bit, because something about the timbre gets a little bit cloying, to use that word for the second time today. It's just it's a cool sound, but I want it to evolve over time just to give me a little bit of variation, because you're just kind of and it's very upfront. So that could be enveloping. Pro tip from Baco Bibizo: the trick is to turn your grid off and get hammered before you lay your drums down. But yeah, I mean...
Wait, is your Twitch chat appearing on the Volta?
Yes, it is.
When did that start happening?
Oh, I've been playing. Isn't that fun? I like to trip people out with the fact that it's a little weird sphere that has us on it and all the text. You can just use the OBS camera as your video source. That's how you do it. Fun fact, everyone, Volta XR, free visuals generative program. That's what I'm using in the background of this. This is not a pre-recorded video or a visualizer. It is actually reacting to all the sounds, all the bass, all the mids, the highs, and whatever I feed into it. So wanted to shout them out because they have been sponsoring and hanging out for our events and giving us interactive visuals. So at our last real life event at the She Knows Tech Summit, people could actually type light and dark and hearts into the chat, and they would change the visuals. And yes, you can make a giant dancing chicken, Baco Bibizo. You can also have giant donuts and avocados. There's a lot of food products. Yeah.
Maybe everyone in the Volta office is hungry all the time.
I know. Seriously good. And it's very tropical theme, so it could be a wishful thinking. But yeah, what'd you think of that Diego track?
I mean, I agree that the drums, they were a strong point. I could definitely see with more variety on the guitar. And I feel like the guitar itself is not, it wasn't played by them. I feel like it's a sample of some kind, which means you're going to have to get a little bit more nitty-gritty with creating variations in that sound, because you don't have more audio to work from. You just have what's there. Maybe get a tremolo plugin out and automate that at the end of some phrases so it goes wah 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 wah. Do-do-do-do.
Diego says that they recorded the guitar. It sounded pretty real to
Ah.
me. I don't know what you
And,
smoking today, Natty.
Well, I mean, did you play all the way through the track? Because I feel like it repeats itself.
I think that could be what he's talking about, Diego. Like maybe you should have recorded more. Like just because you're playing the same chords or the same riff, sometimes just playing it again and having a slightly different take will give you more of that live thing, you know? So
I mean, yeah, that's kind of, it's that micro variations. You played it for 8 bars. Well, I mean, I do a take. See if you can play for the whole song if you can. It'll add the same humanity that you put all the effort into your drum processing for. Because otherwise, right now it just sounds like a sample. Which, if you can play guitar, it's really cool. Like, I'm still bad at playing my guitar.
I'm still like fairly
one day
bad
I will
at
get
playing
good.
everything. That's why I became an electronic music producer, so that I wouldn't have to practice my instruments. That's not actually why, but but it is.
I mean, you're confessing to some heinous sins here tonight.
No. But I did actually just want more than I was capable of physically doing, So I think that is the beauty of electronic music is I don't have to spend 12 years listening to myself rip fingernails on a chalkboard as I learn violin. I can just orchestrate a violin online that sounds nice from the get-go. Cheating. But yeah, I am Diego. I wish I could play guitar well. I love guitar. I think all the timbres it makes are so cool. And actually that gives me an idea of some more feedback for you. Like really, really use the rest of the guitar. You're missing out on great textures and noise. So yeah, you can hit the side, but for me, my favorite part are the super high upper harmonics, like over top of the bridge. I think it's the bridge. I'm so bad.
Yeah, it's the bridge.
The end, right? And then there's like the high parts.
neck.
Yeah, and you can just play these tight little upper harmonics and you can use them as like little percussion glitches and fills. Like the sounds of the guitar are so amazing, and not just the direct string playing, like all the little things you can hit and pluck that give you those overtones. I actually myself, I use a ton of sampled real guitar in those off ranges and in the booms and the hits as not guitar. Like I have entire tracks where the percussion is made up of guitar sounds of hitting the guitar because I love the texture of it so much. Also, for anyone who uses Ableton, something everyone is afraid of but is really, really great is the plugin called Tension that comes with it. That is actually made by Applied Acoustics, who are the kings of physical modeling synthesis. And so you can make your own stringed instrument, and instead of tweaking oscillators and LFOs and all this other language to make your sound, you're tweaking the string material. You're tweaking the pressure of the fingers. It's a really, really cool thing. So Diego, see, Stasis is like, you like tension? Here's the thing about tension. This is why everyone stays away from it. The default sound is ass. The default sound is so bad that you play it for 1 second and you're like, get that thing away from me and kill it with fire. But the truth is, it's not a synth, right? I mean, it is, but it's not like a traditional synth with stock presets. So you're not supposed to open it and have it sound dope. It's just on the default settings for materials of string and pressure and body and all the great things. So, there aren't any good tutorials. Well, tell you what, Stasis, I think maybe I will make one. But number B, I have a top secret file of some of the master's degree classes I used to give. So I would be happy, especially since Stasis, you are our top all-time donator. I'm just going to invent this right now. I'm going to give you that as one of your bonuses, and there will be more to come. But I have a whole class on it that's recorded that I would love to share with you. So, and Baco as well, you've been so great with your emojis. I will share that with you too. But
We
tension.
love you.
Chase will back me up on this. Chase already did. I saw in the chat. Tension is great. And actually, let me just show you. I almost never do this, but let me show you a whip of mine that, let me see if
This is like plug-in of the week almost.
this is like plugin of the week. Okay, cool. It's up. So I'm going to redo the vocals. Ignore the vocals. I might not even get there. I might stop you before you get there. But all of the plucky sounds, the percussive sounds, like everything is made in tension for this. So yeah, these are all different like tension patches that I made. all the little fingers, and then plucky stuff. So it's just vocal samples and tension and an 808. That's all you're hearing right now. And oh yeah, there's like a weird sax sample. That's my voice. All right, I'm going to stop because I don't want you to hear the vocals I'm working on. But that is all made in tension.
I'm ill-esha, and I love you, my donators. My donators.
It's true. Yeah. So if you're a regular, if you're super supporting all this, I'm more than happy to share all of my nerdy sound. I have a lot of sound design stuff. I was the first person ever to write a university class on Vital. I'm just gonna let myself claim that honor because that was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because there's no freaking manual and it's so new. So yeah, that is an Ableton thing, is tension. But if you don't have tension or Ableton, just look for physical modeling synths. Physical modeling synths will give you the most realistic thing because they model actual behavior of physical properties of the world, of objects. So when it's doing the calculation to tell you like how hard you're playing the string, it's dipping into physics of like when a finger hits a string at this, it does this. So that is why it always sounds so good. And Stasis, the queue might be closed, but it's always open for you. Again, shouts out for being our top all-time donator. Speaking of that, thank you, Diego. We are going to move on to Kamato, who did a skip queue, and we are going to check out their track Inevitable. Is there any specific feedback that Kamato would like?
First draft to get some feedback.
Thank you again, Nathaniel, for being clearly a human being and not an AI creation. getting a little sit crazy. I'm gonna stand up. Woo. Doing my exercises to this. I'm gonna just quote Chase because Chase pretty much said what I was thinking. It needs a strong lead. This is a really, really great bed track. Like I want to hear something come forward and give me like a central motif. But I really like it. I do think the piano itself could use a little texturizing. The bass of the track is really great. The bass is super warm and friendly and I love it. The drums are nice, but I want to hear like that piano have some creative reverb automation or some flanging or phasing or like just little parts throughout the track where it changes because it's so constant, you know. I also, Heist Vibes saying something really cool in the chat. I feel like several sections of this are very strong, but it kind of drifts between feels. A singer or central element leading from one section to another could help define the vibe. So exactly what I was just saying and Chase was saying, the lead thing, the central element. Bako Bibizo said Mongolian folk metal, let's go. You know, I think the chat consensus really is just that you need a lead. Natty? Other ideas?
I mean, I could definitely hear some sort of vocal there for a start. I mean, and the question is whether it be
You were singing, actually. I heard you over top of it and muted. What were you singing? I liked it.
I was like, help me, I need a coffee. I was hoping you'd hear because...
I heard like a... I didn't know you were
singing. I need a coffee.
Help me, I need a coffee.
I need a coffee.
A coffee. I need a coffee too. Ooh. All right, let's go.
Yes.
I actually really do need a coffee. Okay. Yeah. Any thoughts?
First up, as I'm going to highlight this comment as well. Heist Vibe saying, "I'm willing but not able to." My God.
What?
I'm willing but not able to.
Epic.
I had to highlight that. I mean, the other thing as well is, that bass needs some sort of cut-off automation as it progresses, I think. You need to have it go lower and feel less stabby and transient-y. So it sort of just sits there pulsing in the background as you start stacking other elements on top. Because right now it occupies one octave and kind of stays there. And I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with this entire track right now. It is a first draft, so obviously, you probably know that there's plenty to work on. Yeah, it's starting to spread everything out across the octaves, I think, in terms of your arrangement and creating that call and response dynamic. That would be the best place to start with this, because it's a really easy way to start modulating your energy levels across the track. Because you're like, okay, I have this one go up an octave, and now it's changed how much energy it's giving to the track. And then if I remove it entirely, now that's another level. You know, that the more obvious your changes are, the more room you have for adding and removing things around them and actually feeling like you're making any progress. Because I think it's well with the first draft. Just go quick, hard, and dirty. Stack, like, it's sometimes okay with this sort of track just to stack lots of things on top of each other and see what happens.
Quick, hard, and dirty. Just the way Natty likes it. All right. Thanks to everyone who have patiently been waiting. We are the International Live Beat channel. We also throw the challenge, which is a live electronic performance extravaganza. Our next round is September 14th with Audius and You Suck at Producing. So that is going to be super, super flames. We have a bunch of cool competitors. We are still looking for one more contestant. In the meantime, we are going to listen.
Maybe I'll get my dad.
Your dad is going to enter? If your dad can build a live set, your dad could enter.
Honestly, he doesn't even have his guitar anymore, sadly. He used to be able to play that.
I would love to have some people from the community enter this contest. We actually did have Daniel McPhee, who is a great community member. You can be in the contest if you are a good live performer. Are you a good live performer? That is the question. I mean, you just have to be able to do a 5-minute freestyle routine, 5-minute challenge routine. I'm going to play the next, the Stasis Stigma track, and then I'm going to show you all a little sample of some previous contestants because it is super, super fun. And if you are online, you can be at this one fully because it's virtual. Our last ones have not been virtual. They've been physical. So Stasis, using one of their million Q skips. Stasis is our actual current top all-time donator. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate and love you. And we love your tunes. Your tunes are great. I really like them. So
yeah, I actually do listen to some of them in my spare time as well. So I definitely like your tune.
Whip, super cheeky time I asked for feedback on a remix. All right.
Oh, God.
Okay. Wow. Cool. It's cool to hear the remixes start coming in. By the way, for anyone who didn't realize that, this is a whip for the remix contest that's currently going on between ourselves and Audius and You Suck at Producing, using my track with Underbelly. So first off, I think I like the direction you're going and everything. The one thing that's kind of bugging me, and this is also like, full disclosure, this is my voice, so it's definitely weird for me. I don't mind having it pitched, but I think you should, if you're going to pitch it up and shift the formants like that, you should lean into it and do tons of formant shifting. Like, who is it that does that? Is that like Madian, or I can't remember, like, who's always does that, like, formant shifting, vocal processing sort of thing? I can't remember who I think it's Madian, but like that whole like, ooh, like if you're going to shift the formants, Natty, you're muted and it's not from me. You're still muted.
Yeah, it's Madian, and Por's dabbled with it in places too, but Madian definitely has done more of it, and especially.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just go crazy, because like right now it just sounds like funny, it just sounds like happy hardcore vocals. And some in the chat, Baco is saying hit that ARP with some FM, open that filter partway through. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that too many, so far what I would say, like just to give you an artist view on all this, is like the remixes that I've been browsing through that are showing up on Audius, they're a little too traditional. Like, not only are they just keeping the vocal as it is, they're keeping the entire arrangement of the song. So I'm literally just listening to my song back with like 2 minutes of bossa nova trap and 1 minute of disco house, or like whatever, the arrangement is. And I'm just like, okay, by remix, I don't just mean take every segment and just slightly scramble a couple things, like literally remix it, like slam it, and this is what I like about what Stasis has done. Like, first of all, not keeping the same arrangement necessarily, but I do think that you could really just mess around with the vocal, like go full crazy if you're gonna do that, and not try and keep it the way it is. Like the further away and more original, in my mind, and I'm only like one of the judges, but I think generally most of my judges or most of the people would agree, Natty, right? Like you don't want to hear the track basically as it is with like a different bass line or something, you know?
Well, I've already got Baco here telling about some private messaging in my for me is like yeah, that's what I did at first, lol. Natty got me though, because I told him the same thing, like, you know, right now, like, you know, you want to shake it up in some noticeable manner to say, okay, this is a new idea that is mutating off the old idea.
Yeah, exactly. I do think I agree with somebody just in the chat that said Reboos said that the drop was a little weak. I think it's just because it's a whip. I feel like you've set out the framework for it, but you haven't actually done like the full sound design and sculpting. And I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, like it sounds weak, but I don't hear it as that because I just hear it as like the skeleton. I hear it as you've like laid something out, and if you like the way it's going, you're gonna fill it in and you're gonna put more layers. So I think that that's where it's going, and I can hear where it's going. So I would just say like really just murder the vocal, like just do something totally different with it tone wise, because just having that one formant is weird. And Natty, if you have a different opinion.
No, I think I'm in consensus with this one. It's also weird, some like get people some, you know, that is cheeky sending in an active remix competition submission. And I remember when the last time you hosted a remix competition on the EDMP server, it was Black Swan.
Right.
I mean, I actually took part in that one, and we had some really interesting ones come out of the community there as well, and that's what I'm hoping for again. Also, if you upload your remix, I will retweet it on the Twitter account as well for EDMP, because I've been doing that.
Totally. And if you upload your remix to Audius, make sure you sort of tag it as a remix so that it gets put into the master collection, which is one of my favorite things about Audius, is that you can just like check out everything in one go and it organizes it like that. But yeah, I love it. I'm going to skip the cue skipper for a second, because Simpin' Harder has been here like super loyal, waiting their turn patiently. And we don't even usually have this many cue skippers. So I really appreciate everyone's generosity. Whoa, I just spilled something in a bad place.
Oh no.
Bad place. Don't put drinks by your gear, everybody. I'm going to deal with that. And we are going to play Simpin's track. Is there any feedback that they wanted, Natty, specifically?
This is my first funk song, and I am a relatively new producer, so I appreciate all criticism or feedback. But by the way, I hope you will like my producer tag in the intro. It has something to do with the second half of my name, Hardener. Okay.
Well, thank you for waiting, and we hope you enjoy your feedback. Oh, that caught me off guard. I was like, the track's over, and then it just came back again. Yeah, so that's almost over. I'm gonna let it ride out. All right, there it is. So yeah, overcompression. I mean, overcompression is sort of one of these things. It's in electronic music. It's especially on the dance floor. I do hear a little bit of overcompression myself because I'm listening to everything very quietly on speakers. Because for me, I'm back in my studio for the first time in years. I freaking love it, and I'm just doing it very quietly, which means that I can hear kind of like all the little nuances. And to me, I didn't hear it poking out at me in the way that I wanted to. You know, I wanted to hear it like punching a little bit more, and I think that's what people are talking about. Like, there's nowhere for it to go because it's so squished. I'm
and
home.
even with it being squished,
I just want to tell.
It's like if you want to be squished more, like I mean, I'm thinking like Lady Gaga paparazzi drum snap squished. You know, it's like it's squished, but it's not a satisfying squished.
Yeah, Stasis, I'm at home. I'm at my actual studio in Denver, which has, as you can see, a little bit on the walls. There's sound treatment. There are instruments. There is my beautiful, fully weighted 88 key MIDI controller underneath me, which is what I just spilled sparkling water underneath. Luckily, it's not too bad. It was actually probably the best place on this whole desk I could have spilled something. But again, do not put your drinks on the table. I know this better than anyone, and I still did it.
Keep them in bottles.
Yes, but yeah. Sorry. I would do some more multi-band processing because you can get that over-compressed sound, for example, in your drums by like sending it to a really compressed bus and with even some distortion, and then you can mix that with the dry signal so you still have some push and pull. So yes, very observant. The mannequin is gone. The mannequin has been rehomed because I'm probably going to move back to Europe, so I am slowly getting rid of most of my things, and she had to go. Should I change the order or take away something? Asked Simpin. I'll let Nathaniel give you more advice.
I mean, I think the order is fine. I mean, the biggest noticeable arrangement issue is that massive fake out where we thought the track was ended and then it just kept going. If you're going to do something like that, don't have it keep going doing the same thing. You know, if you're going to do something like that and want it to be deliberate, go wild with the second half. But I mean, also, if you are going to do that, have it naturally fade out rather than stop. You know, have some weird reverb automation or delays or something. Just give us a sense of space that the track is still in existence, even if you're not wanting that part to be a focal point of any sort. You know, you want it to bring it back to a new level 0 before coming back in to do something new. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's not really the position. The timing is fine. It's just you don't do anything new with the second bit. Like, those vocal chops are the same as what they were previously. I mean, that'd be a first place to start, is make them do something different. A different melody, different timings, maybe vocode them to hell and back so they sound mushed up and all alien. I don't know, there's like, you could go a million directions with something like this, especially with, you know, it's a beat-focused track, which means that you can lean into the fact that beats are very flexible.
Yeah, beats are very flexible. I'm gonna keep...
I'm not sure about the headphones though. They might be a bit rigid.
I know some people have been waiting a long time today, so if you're still kicking around and you have not been talking in chat, make yourself known, and I will unskip to you a little bit. Like we have Chain Trust is the next non-skip, but I don't know if they're still here. So Chain Trust, if you're here, make yourself known. I'm going to play, just because I love you, Baka. I know that you understand that some people have been waiting forever. So just because it's been such a okay, cool. Chain is here. So we will get to you. Thank you for being here. And I want
also,
you all...
different username, damn it.
Yeah, and I want you all to have a good experience here and just to understand that we are really loyal to our viewers. We promise that anything that gets in the queue, we get to, even if we're here forever. So sometimes we are. But the queue skipping is a way to help us raise money
and a half stream one.
for things like Nathaniel coming to Barcelona to help me throw an event that that is going to be streamed for free for all of you and things like that. So Chain Trust is looking for feedback on the mix or additional instruments to layer on top of the mix. So we will have a think and we will check you out. And here is your link. Well, only 28 seconds. All right, we're gonna get through this together, everybody. That was cool. It was really dissonant though, and I'm not sure if I enjoyed all of the dissonance. What did you think, Natty? That was my quick impression. Was a little bit crazy.
I mean, it's definitely crazy. I mean, that if you're gonna do something like that, that bass needs to be slappier. Like, you know, it's not very transient-y, so it's sort of blurring into the mush of the dissonance. Which, when that should be the focal point of this track, you know, that should be the thing we're fixating on, to the point where all the chaos is almost secondary to the bass.
Yes. Yeah, good one. Yeah, it's too overdone. I couldn't like focus on anything going on.
And I mean, it's like the drums as well, they were sort of buried too. So it's like, you know, just mute everything else right now. Get your drums and your bass right, and then start adding in things like your organs. Make sure your organs, if they're going to be there, aren't sitting in the middle of your track in your stereo field. They need to be wider. I mean, there's a common effect used on organ sounds to make them sound more like an old rotary organ rather than a traditional modern one. Which often just involves a lot of weird phasing and flangery side chorusy effects all over the side of it. So you end up pushing it all the way out, which in its isolation would be bad because then you end up with this gap in the middle. But you already have the gap in the middle being filled by the bass and the rest of your interesting sounds and drums and all that sort of stuff. So that would help, I think, a bit as well. That's the other thing with organ sounds. It's very hard sometimes to not make them sound dissonant. So maybe try a few different ones as well that are more easily tuned. Or run it through Melodyne afterwards, because that could work too.
That could work as well. Next up, I'm like I said, I'm skipping around a bit because I know some people have been waiting for a long time. We're going to check out Frost's Whip. I'm really excited to hear this. It could either be a meme track, it could be a serious track. I'm pretty sure
it's like Russian roulette.
Russian roulette. Frost is the Russian roulette of producers. Excellent. All right, so Frost obviously never needs feedback because he is perfect and not, you know, above reproach, and he's so great. And this is totally not sarcastic or anything, but honestly,
he's got a gun to your head.
He is really great. Ooh, it's a Frost times Visionary. It's a doubleheader. All right, now I'm getting excited. Let's go. I think we can agree we just heard the winner. That was clearly the winner. I mean, I'm just...
Frost is beyond reproach. Frost takes perfect things.
Like I said, I knew it. I mean, I had to leave the flames on because that is just... That is so...
That's not just speedcore.
I can't stop. I mean... What was that absolute perfection?
990 BPM.
I just...
That's literally extra tone.
I just... Wow. I don't know what to say.
Only the brightest minds of EDMP could come up with such beauty.
690 BPM. Epic. Thank you for that, Frost. I'm really, really glad that I got back on track because that is the standard by which all other production throughout time should be set. Beethoven should just rise from the grave and rewrite all his goddamn symphonies. I tell you. All right, Caldwell. Caldwell has finished their whip that they submitted a few weeks ago and are looking for feedback mostly on the arrangement, but the mix as well. All right.
I'm sorry that I hurt you. I wish I could turn back the time that I hurt you. I was such a fool that I hurt you. I wish I could turn back the time that I hurt you. I was such a fool
Oh my God, this is great. This really warms my heart because this is a total like dance floor. It's totally like got commercial appeal. It's well mixed, but it's not annoying and cheesy and cheap, and it's got great textures to it. I do agree with another comment in the chat that maybe the intro saws were hitting louder from Stasis than the drop. So I would maybe watch that, but this is really, really beautiful. I mean, I love the sound design. I'm just finding out about this color-based genre, but I really like it. I think it's basically like dubstep people started missing melodies or something, you know? And this is a beautiful thing. I really like. I don't have much to say other than that. I think it's ready to go. Release it. Super dope.
I mean, I think the intro thing is fairly easily explained as well. So it's likely the intro is just the right level of loud, that it's loud, but isn't smashing into your limiter. But everything else, when you start peaking, is just getting squashed. So then it's just sort of changing the contrast, but it's in a way that you didn't intend.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's your mastering chain here. Either automate your intro so it's quieter to match the eventual end result from your master in the rest of the track, or change your mastering chain so that it's less aggressive on the other half.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I think that will resolve that issue fairly nicely. Because, I mean, I think in this sort of track, it is an important thing to make sure that your volume levels are right consistently across the whole track. Because people will be wanting to stick this in sets and wanting to have it be predictable.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes people don't think of doing this. It's really obvious, but it's just an easy fix. Like if you are just using one limiter and you're trying to do it quick and you don't want to overslam and deal with this, just put a gain on your intro group of sounds and just automate it down. Just have a little bit of a lower, or sorry, automate it up so that you don't have to compress so hard. right? So do some manual gain evening out before you compress so that you don't have to like slam that limiter and be at the mercy. Like that's totally okay to do as well. All right, so back to I know that I'm trying to sort of sort through the queue. I know we've had some skippers. We didn't play Reboos yet, did we?
We've also got that amp Morty on
Yeah,
Discord.
I asked,
one.
I tagged them on Discord. They didn't respond. Are they here?
I don't know.
So yeah, I skipped
I
them
haven't
for
seen them
now, and
either,
I was
so.
going to move on to Reboos, who I've seen is actually here.
We haven't played Reboos yet either, but I mean I'm pretty sure I've seen them as well.
Yes, no, Reboos is definitely here. So we're going to move on to Reboos next, and they are looking for the songwriting, production, and arrangement mostly, I believe. Yeah, so
Yep.
not the mix so much, which is totally fine. And let's check it out.
It comes to a point where I have to let go. We came and we saw, but then we lost our hope.
Ooh, I want to say that I really love this main sound that you've got going, this little like panning, plucking. It's really delicious to listen to. And I love the originality in this. Like stylistically, it goes to a lot of places. Maybe too many places. And I think, in the chat, Baco says 3 songs, split them up. Zine says this does not fit the rest. So I think that we all are kind of in consensus that they're all cool ideas. They're all really great. But maybe less in one song. Maybe you could break that into 2 songs. Maybe you could do a dance floor remix and a listening edit. There's so many different creative ways that you can explore having too many ideas for one song. Trust me, coming from, I don't want to call myself a horse, coming from the horse's mouth. It's okay. I just did it.
Why the longer face, Isha?
I tend to have too many ideas for one song all the time, and I think that it's easy to, especially when you're just like really inspired, right? But the thing is for most people, like, they can only handle a certain amount of ideas and a certain amount of progression from those ideas. And there's a tricky balance, because not enough is super boring and loopy and repetitive, but too much makes you kind of distracted and forget, and then it's like at the end of that, how is that song kind of staying in my head? Is it this part? Is it that part? Do I remember all of it? It might have been too much. How many was that like that for you, Natty? I use words and I know them.
I mean, the most memorable bit is definitely the bells. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's a sign that you can incorporate them more into the rest of the sound design in some regards. Like those wobs, you could actually make more of the wobs follow the melody or the pacing of the bells. Mm-hmm. Right now they're going, but I mean, like, why aren't they going like the bells? Like, you can do the same thing with different sounds. I think that would probably make it more cohesive. At the start, I thought maybe this is going to be a progressive house track. But then it went sort of, I mean, it's not, is it dubsteppy or drum steppy? I don't know. It's a bit in between the two. I mean, it was cool. Aesthetically, I think it's cool, but I mean, it just, does lack the glue in the arrangement that says this is all one track. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's sort of like you've got the intro and the outro, and then everything in the middle is different.
Yeah, Sunny's idea is, what if you staggered the bass with the bells? That could be cool. And I think, like, I also agree with Stasis that, like, I like the first and second ideas together. I think maybe you could use the 2 of those and just, like, spread your track out and focus on those, and then take the third one and make it into something else. But there's a lot of places you could go, and it's a really good idea. You've already got the hard part over. You've got, like, the earworms and the idea. You just need to sort out, like, which of those ideas to keep. And I think the first and second are good, and the third could be another track. But personally, do you agree, Natty?
I mean, it could be a whole EP in its own right, yeah. which would also be interesting. Like, why not?
Why?
If you have more ideas and don't run out of ideas, then you're in a really good place, because a lot of people complain about writer's block.
Yeah. Hello, yes. So I've been in both places. I've had complete writer's block, and I've had too many ideas. Too many ideas is a much better place to be in, because sometimes you can take those years later and make things that you didn't even expect just from having a break from the track. So take it, put it aside. Baco has not encountered writer's block. You lucky, clearly Android person. I do not believe you are a human. You have just betrayed your AI-ness. So congratulations. AI is not sentient yet. We have nothing to worry about. They are not taking our jobs. They are not making our tracks, and they are not giving us feedback.
They're just called Baco Babiza.
And next up, we have Slack Swip. Slack, I guess, is entering the contest too. Psyched to hear it.
This is a letter from the dark side. Go back in time, right to yourself. Just take a breath and try to stand up before you melt on someone else. Better to jump in freezing water than just to try and make it out. Get lost inside a maze of mirrors, so many things clearer. Fuck it all, just be here. And now we face it as so clearly. Like it's the first time we're outside. Just take a breath and try to stand up. And all in there, nowhere to hide. All of the sidewalks shining brighter. Reflect the joy within ourselves. Get lost inside this perfect mirror.
Whoa, abrupt ending indeed, my friend. It's weird. This time SoundCloud decided that it doesn't need to decide what I'm listening to next because it was just that smashing. Nothing could follow up that madness. Fun fact for anyone who hasn't guessed this.
Sorry, but Frost remix was better.
Oh, that's true. Frost. But fun fact for anyone who
Frost
still
and
doesn't
Visionaries
know,
remix.
I used to be a drum and bass MC, and that's probably why I'm like this. Anyways, yeah, I love the thrashing.
Why is
beats.
ill-esha?
Why is she like
Drum
this?
and bass.
Drum and bass is the fault. Yeah, sick drop. I think with this speed, and especially like the way you've sped the vocal up, I would just not even try to keep the phraseology in the lyrics. I would do like a choppy synth lead that's like half vocal and half something else type of thing. Like I would kind of just go like a perfect, and then maybe occasionally coming into words, perfect mirror, you know what I mean? Like just really go hard with like taking pieces of the vocal and just mutilating it into your own Frankenstein and your own creation, because I think you could even do a slow choppy lead because you have so many fast parts. You could just go whoa, like just something that to fit that frantic feeling, because I think the problem is when you put the lyrics in, you have the ill-esha with too much coffee symptom where I'm just like which is, it's weird. I feel like right now I'm acting like I've had too much coffee, and I actually have barely had any coffee. I don't even know if I have had coffee. Very strange. Sleep dep? I think that's what it is. Sleep dep. But yeah, I would do something
Sleep deprivation.
to deconstruct. That's the word they use in these pretentious restaurants. Like, this is a deconstructed lasagna. I would do a deconstructed vocal. Just take it apart and just really reassemble it on the plate.
They seem to really love deconstructed cheesecakes in restaurants for some reason. And it's just basically, oh, here's the biscuit packet that was smashed in the cupboard. And here's some strawberries and a bit of cream. Deal with it.
Yes. It's called spaghetti, says Baco, deconstructed lasagna.
Oh, we're going to offend so many Italians right now.
I love this. Yeah, what did you think of that, Natty?
I mean, obviously I want more of it.
He wants more. That is a good sign.
I want more. That is a good sign.
Like a deconstructed lasagna.
I don't know if I want more of that. I like my lasagna in one piece, thank you, until I eat it. But I mean, I agree. You could definitely do more crazy stuff with it. I mean, right now it's sort of like, okay, it's a drum and bass track with the Perfect Mirror vocals on top. I also don't feel like I hear much of the original sound design in any of the new sounds either, which is interesting. It's like you aren't resampling as very much there.
It's more like mashing
Which, I mean, it's it's like, I mean, obviously there was nothing in the rules that said you had to use everything, but it's sometimes cool to see how much you can get away with.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I mean, I think, yeah, what you just said is hitting it on the nail. It kind of sounds like a cappella over existing track. So I think mutilating the lead vocal to make it more your own, but also that is a good idea to add a little bit of other elements and tie it back in somehow to the original just a bit more. So, whoa, Zine,
words of wisdom.
I know, Zine just blew my mind. Your stomach thinks that all lasagna is deconstructed.
They thinks that all potatoes are mashed as well, apparently.
Your stomach basically just thinks that food sucks, and it's just like, oh, here's another pile of stuff. Let me just work on moving it that way. All I do is deliver to Captain Poop Hole. What is wrong with me today? Speaking of needing too much coffee, our next track is called Caffeinated by Gabe. Oh, thank you, Gabe, for giving me a PG-related segue amidst all this just terrifying, bizarre hyper-lucidity. comments in the chat, and I just want to add that I'm going to read some of Gabe's comments on their own track, which is like they're a new producer, so open to all kinds of improvement. Really loves 135 BPM house and sampled a bunch of stuff from Club Penguin DJ Minigame. So that's what these samples are from. That's kind of cute. So I'm going to just read the chat because I think this is, for a new producer, this is valuable. So basically, Baco says, I like this, but I feel like the bass is getting pushed into my head though. Stasis Stigma said, I feel like the trumpet is out of key. Zine thinks that the trumpet should be mashed and reconstructed. It's also repetitive. Baco then said, everything is so close and so busy, I'm getting seasick. So yeah, the first thing as a new producer, you've got your elements, right? You have your ingredients. Now it's about finding the balance. It's about putting them in the right space. So dimension would be something to explore. Play with reverbs, play with panning, and try to find ways to not put everything in the entire same space, because right now everything is close, everything is up front. Close means not having a lot of reverb. Up front can be, just where it's panned. It can also be something being over compressed. But I think for now, it sounds like what you've done is you've just taken some existing samples that you really like and made a track, which is totally like probably the best way to get something going if you're a new producer. So now play around with where those elements are and put some effects on them. Like, because you're a new producer, I'm not going to say go and mix and do this with the blah, 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 and the blah, blah, blah. Like, don't worry about that yet, because you do have the vibe and you do have the basic stuff. But where you space your elements is really big. In regards to the out of key thing, there's a lot of reasons for that. You were using this organ classic house chord, right, that makes these intervals for you, and those intervals are not always in key with the melody, with the lead melodies and the notes that you're hitting. So there are points which those cross that are out of key, and you do have, like, I think on a basic level, everything is starting out in key, but then your trumpet melody, like maybe you've transposed it from something else, and some of the notes that it hits are not going with those intervals of those organ chords. Reference tracks. Another good comment from Stasis as a new producer. Just take tracks you like and line them up, and just, instead of just listening to the arrangement or maybe just the sounds, listen to where they are putting things in the space and listening to how they're putting effects on it. What are your favorite new producer tips, Natty?
I mean, it's cool that you're starting out with sampling, because I mean that's in its own way a unique workflow. But then don't, in this case, maybe see if you can feed all your samples into something that allows you to play them out with MIDI. Because I think that would then allow you to start thinking in terms of songwriting, not just slapping loops together. You want to be able to play it either on your computer keyboard, because that's something that you can translate sometimes with them, or if you've got a little MIDI keyboard already, you want to be able to play your samples out with that and see, okay, what if I change the timings of them, or have it so it's key shifting them up the keyboard so they're doing different things. It makes it easier to not have to imagine what you're trying to do, because you can hear it with that automatic response. Yeah. And if you don't have a MIDI keyboard and you want something that's touch oriented, I mean, I don't think we've done this in a plugin of the week kind of thing before, but I love Touch OSC. It's not a very expensive app. And it has a bridge to Windows and Mac and Linux that then allows you to use your tablet or smartphone as a MIDI controller. And there's also the cool packs out there that people have made that have either like piano style inputs or drum machine, like a launch pad kind of thing. So there, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get an interesting input device that allows you to start getting that reaction between, okay, I've got this sample, and what if I do this? Because, I mean, that's the thing with a lot of the old school sampling stuff. It was all physical hardware, and they were either on the decks and they were actually live scratching, like some of those old DMC championships, or they had the tape machine and they were pressing and start playing and stopping and rewinding, and that was all kind of part of the aesthetic, was the interaction as much as what they were sampling.
Yeah. Very, very wise words. And people in the chat are talking some really nice things as well, about how valuable, again, reference tracks are, making making close to identical copies of trucks that I like, and then entering any other competition I run into. Great advice. Enter our Audius competition going on now till September 6th. I'm going to release tomorrow some links to Jam Pro and free ability to get these stems as a pack so you can play and jam around and even enter to win a special prize. So check out.
And if you need any help with the app, let me know.
Yes, it's true. Natty can help a lot with the app. But basically, if you want to know anything about what we're doing and who we are, ILBC.tv is our website. And it's always got all the information about our next event, about what's coming up after that. We have our finals coming up in Barcelona. Lots of exciting things to talk about. But we're going to move forward. We're getting to the later part of our stream, and we have Florence, is that right? No, Basil and Ember is the artist name. The track is
Basil
called
and Ember,
Florence.
but the name.
But I want to give
Yeah,
special
that's
shouts
next.
out to our attempted Rickroller. Real cute. We love you. And at the same time, if Natty didn't check the link and we accidentally Rickrolled, that would be another copyright strike. And we really can't keep getting them. Like the more support we get from Twitch will be because we don't violate their copyright standards. So we are trying to play nice with them because we like them and we like streaming. So please don't Rickroll us. We love you. So Basil and Ember wants to know anything in particular?
Just a second, sorry. They were.
I mean,
It was, are the bass and drums impactful enough? And would you have advice for keeping things heavy with a more light, bright, Bitbird-esque sound selection? Thank you so much for running these. Love seeing everybody's work.
wicked. Thank you. I like this artist name, Basil and Ember. Sounds like a really delicious restaurant with like fusion food and a celebrity chef. Could also be a strain of high-end marijuana. Very, very, very classy. Love it. That was very lovely.
Oh.
Very, very lovely and pretty. I thought the bass was definitely way too intense and mid-rangey. And I love the top end. I love the percussion, the highs, the delicacy. I think that part was so nice that it was killing me that bass was sort of leaning too heavy. You say you want did they say Bitbird? Is that what they were going for? A Bitbird
Yeah.
sound? Yeah, I love the Bitbird sound. I assume you're talking about like Drulu and like that whole classic bounciness. I think that to start with, making your bass less saw wavy and playing more with like squares, triangles, even signs that just have a little bit of distortion. Because I actually like fell in love with Drulu sound a while ago. I saw them play at ADE, and I've been a fan ever since. And I definitely looked at their work, trying to figure out like how it was made. And a lot of Drulu is like this. Imanu is another producer I like that's also from like Netherlands area, who is similar, where their edits are really complex and their sound design is good, like their mixing is good, but the actual waveforms they use are really simple and clean. So like instead of trying to do some complex dubstep or glitch hop kind of saw bass, they'll do like a really clean, slightly square sine with like a little bit of a distortion on it and maybe like some comb filtering. So you have these deep, clean sounds. Like I noticed this with Imanu too. Some of the sounds will just be like sine waves, but just really well EQ'd with slight filtering on them. So Baco loved the stereo bass. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it. I just feel like in the context of the upper part and also with you saying you wanted more of that Bitbird sound, I think that that's where you would start to edit it, play with some cleaner, deeper sound to sort of match that beauty on top, because I felt like I was just losing that because the bass was too strong. Well, how did you feel about the bass, Nat?
I mean, I feel like I'm going to invert the usual advice when it comes to bass processing here and suggest you sidechain the bass to those high, intermittent, twinkly sounds.
Super fast though. If you do that, it would have to be like, you would have to do it really fast, and you would have to put a compressor with look ahead, because otherwise I don't think it would react, because those sparkly sounds are pretty quick, so I would say you just have to have a really fast attack and release if you did that.
But I mean, I feel like that would help start spacing it out, and then maybe just freeze your bass sound that you've got there, the stereo one there, and just start chopping the hell out of it once you've got that predictable bit already programmed in with your compressor, your sidechain compression. You freeze it entirely from there, and you just start chopping it up and filling in the gaps with a deeper bass underneath that. And I think that would sort of push, it's not like super complex sound design, but it would sort of push you more towards that. I mean, it's almost garagey sound, really. That's kind of what's...
The bass? You think that's garage? I don't think so.
No, I mean, like, that if you added a deeper one underneath, it would be kind of like...
Well, kind of. Like, I think you'd have to take a lot of that top, like, you'd have to really, like, filter it, though. It's very, like, forward and present and in your face, and, like, it doesn't have that, like, murky depth of garage.
But it kind of feels like that's what it needs, like
totally.
that sort of direction.
No, I agree, and when I said deep with comb filter, that's like sort of the same thing that I was going to. Baco says you could make it a continuous wall of sound and then use a sends only sidechain trigger to carve out a rhythm and the notes using extreme compression. That is a cool one. So, yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start on my DAW with that one. You'll have to show me sometime, Baco.
All right. Sweet. Anything else? Should I move on to the next one?
I mean, I can't think of anything else useful. I mean, we kind of just want this one to be more contrasty and darker, don't we? So.
I agree. So let's move on to Patrick Nepville. Any specific things from Patrick today?
It was, no.
No. All right,
Nothing.
Patrick. Let's just vibe.
Oye.
Well, that was fun, Patrick. Whoa, Natty. Why? Oh my gosh. You're distracting me from Patrick's sultry trumpets. I love that was a lot of fun. That brought me actually right back to my home for the last few years, which was a beach town, a beach city called Valencia in Spain. I totally felt like I was just like on the beach. There's this thing called the Marina Beach Club, and they're always playing music like this. And it's, no matter where you are on the beach, you can sort of hear it coming from over the water, which is sometimes annoying and sometimes good.
We should break in.
Yeah, we should break in. But this made me feel good. I did feel like it got a little repetitive, like towards the second half. This to me kind of has the feel of a DJ edit, like somebody who is a DJ who doesn't necessarily like sound design, but just wants something fun to play at the club and like throws together some samples, which is not a diss. It just has a different feeling than like something that is really carefully sound designed. And I think that this could use a little bit more of that. Like I would love to hear more. Oh, ear candy. Yeah, I mean, like you have such a nice, like I really like the bass sound. I think it's really like deep. I think the drum programming is good. The groove is good. Now just take it a little further and put some more detailing in it. Go a little further than just having the trumpet coming in and out, which is a little bit static. And then when you chop it up, again, what makes something sound like a DJ edit versus a production edit is when the edits are just like literally the simplest stuff you can do with chopping sounds, and there isn't like artful automation and things like that. So I would just go a little further with that. I think you can, don't worry. And, Natty, you have anything to say?
I mean, for me, I feel like the trumpet was too forward in the track. I mean, pull it back a little bit and let me feel the groove a little bit more, because this is I like the drum beat and the bass going in. When that bit came in, I was very happy. That was nice and fun. And then, sorry, Gabe, we actually played your track already. You'll have to scroll back about 10 minutes from now, to find that. But I mean, I think if you're going to do that with the trumpet thing, you have it play out in full once, and then you immediately get to chopping it as heavily as you can. Those sort of rapid cut DJ effects kind of things. Imagine your trumpet being a separate track, and you've got the DJ with, I mean, this is again stuff, me and you spent a lot of time while we were in Valencia watching DMC championships, and you can see their hands going as they're switching between their two channels on their 2-channel deck, and they're going,
yeah.
That's the stuff that you want to achieve with this. If you want to go for that DJ effects thing, is imagining yourself in that role, because obviously you're a producer, you're virtualizing it. But that's kind of the feeling. If you're going to go that way, you want to just immediately go into showing off.
Yeah, agreed.
That it's that sort of, and so what other things do they have on modern DJ decks these days?
They have all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're spoiled. The kids these days, they get like little trigger pads. They get like, they don't even, they have everything. You have, that's what ILBC is about, is the desire to share with people how limitless the possibilities are and to encourage further usage of said limitless possibilities.
So go wild. Choose a couple of samples and just go wild with them over the top of your beat.
Go
and it'll be
crazy.
Fun.
Thank you, Sunny Skies, for being patient and supporting us. This is what our community is about. Is that a My Little Pony? It is. All right.
It's a brony.
It's a brony. They made this in 7 hours, which is okay. Want to call this done? Did they have read a comment, or should I just read what's on the SoundCloud?
I mean, I intended to make a dubstep track with this song. Is this the same song? I'm pretty sure it is. It's the one I linked you, right?
Yeah, it's Elation.
Yes, that's the same one. Yeah, I intend to make a dubstep track with this song. All the sounds in this song. I'm very sorry. All the sounds in this song were designed by me, which was the goal with this song. But it feels a little too repetitive, and the drums probably aren't hitting as hard as they should be.
Cool. All right, let's check it out. wow. This is definitely like an epic theme, but there is absolutely no space. No space. And it's very, very hard to focus because everything is happening all at the same time, all in the same place. So you need to, like, this is similar feedback to, I think it was just the last track even, is panning, reverb, automation, even just, what else, Natty?
Saturation on those stall sounds. They're very hollow sounding.
They are.
They said that this was made about a year ago. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear some actual newer whips from you. Maybe next week you can send something in that's more current, because I mean, if you've improved, then it makes some of our feedback potentially a bit redundant as well. If you've already learned those lessons and said, I mean, or you go back and redo this one now with the idea that you have improved, because I mean, like a year's a long time.
It is. You've probably done a lot since
my entire
then.
life has changed in 12 months.
Yep. Good point, Nathaniel. Very good.
I mean, I like the storytelling with this one. I mean, like, the production needs work, but I actually do enjoy the vibe you're going for. It just needs more of that finesse to actually achieve it with the maximum impact. Like, your intro should not be the same level of sausage as the last bit of the track. Sausage. I mean, I I want to redo it. I've just struggled to do anything good with it. I mean, then well, just obviously make sure you move on, start new ideas.
Yeah.
You know, if you've improved, embrace the improvements and move on.
And you
this
know,
might not be your masterpiece, but the next one could be.
Or you could make a bunch of stuff, and then at one time, you just might spontaneously wake up one day and say, I know exactly what to do with that track. True story, my record, just released a track last year with my friend B Complex that we started 13 years ago. 13.
Oh, yeah, Broken Window.
13 years. And the original was like just a singer-songwriter thing that I wrote in like 2007, and then we started sort of a new rework of it that was more drum and bass after that, and finally just released it. So it is never too late. Ideas, like, we have infinite storage these days. It definitely don't like have you don't have to keep your reams of score papers in a box in your closet. You know, you don't have to keep your giant old external hard drives. Everything is so small now. So just keep it, relax, come back to it. You know, it'll come back to you when it's right. It is kind of mystical.
My longest running project right now is 3 years and a bit or so between when I started writing it and when I actually released it.
Yeah, no pressure. I mean, here's the thing. 60,000 songs a day come out on Spotify now. That's crazy. Like, even a few years ago when I heard the
higher
statistic,
now.
it was 20,000 a couple of years ago. So that is a kind of a bleak, nihilistic approach you could take of like, what does it matter? And then also, what does it matter? What does it matter if you take a long time to release a track? Release it when it's right. And hopefully if it's good and with some luck, it will get somewhere. Nothing matters and everything matters.
Make your own meaning.
Oh, it's go deep time. That must mean we are getting tired.
Yeah.
Luckily, we only have a couple left. Thank you all for sticking with us. We love listening to your stuff. Please take note. September 14th is going to be the big day. The Audius Remix Contest, your submissions close on the 6th. They're going to be reviewed by a panel of judges. Then we are going to pick the top 10. And on the 14th, we are doing a huge live stream event, which is also going to feature the finals of the ILBC Challenge. So the winner of Bristol, the winner of New York, the winner of the round we are about to have on the 14th on Audius will be in the finals in Barcelona on the 29th. Sorry, I got that a little backwards and I realized halfway through. This is just round 3. Coming up on the 14th. But round 3 is going to coincide with the remix competition top 10 judging. There we go. So that's going to be a fun evening with showcases, listening to the top 10 remixes, and then the audience and us are going to vote to get the top 3 for prizes. And then we're going to pick round 3 ILBC champion and move on to the finals. So that's all going to be really big. So we got just a couple more left. We have Heist up next. What any specifics, Natty?
Just a second. I end up skipping back in the queue. 20. So more vibes. All criticism welcome.
All right. More vibes. Well, that was cute. That kind of reminded me of like what you would hear as like sort of backing music for a film scene. Nice and minimal, like it would work really well. And actually, it kind of sounds a little bit like in a lot of, don't take this the wrong way, but just in reality shows or a lot of shows with talking, they have a lot of minimal music like this so that it doesn't interfere with the voice. So I think this would belong well here. As a track, it sounds like an outline to me. So I would my feedback would be like, just do more with everything, like get better samples, work with better rhythms, arrange it a little bit more, like go further. It sounds like a starting point. Anything else to say, Natty? Not much, right?
Me and Bacco were both thinking Sneaky Snake.
Sneaky Snake?
There's a Sneaky Snake.
Sneaky Snake. Great feedback. 5-star feedback, Nathaniel.
5-star feedback for the Sneaky Snake. I mean, yeah, I actually get what you mean as well by the like live reality TV soap opera type. All this, they're being mischievous, and it's totally not staged, guys. As everyone giggles in the background, and the production crew have knowing smirks on their faces because they know the outcome of this, and it's. And I think if you were going to do anything with this, stick a beat under it. Go.
Yeah.
Like start.
Agree.
Start resampling yourself, and just. Give it something more, because I mean, it's too minimal to be an actual song. I think that people would listen to in their spare time.
Yeah, maybe like with some reworking, yes, but yeah, you're right. A beat or something.
I must have uploaded the wrong file. They apparently wanted to upload something else. But
okay, you know what? Like that was a pretty short piece. If you want to upload it now, we've got a couple more we can play. It just you know what? Just DM it to Natty or me, or well, not to me.
Yeah, check me on Whisper on Twitch. Like that's a thing apparently that's people use.
All right, so send that, and we'll see if we can get your other submission in before we go. We're almost done here. We're gonna play Morty. I don't think Morty is here, but we can give them their timestamp. And I don't think was there any specific feedback? No.
Looking for help with mastering and use of compression. I've been trying to improve, and my ear is just not there yet.
Is it Morty? Is it Amp? I don't know what his artist name is, but
I think their artist name is Amp,
right.
But they're Morty something or other on Discord.
Cool. All right.
Gotta hit that joint, 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 gotta hit that yoinky swanky. Yoinky swanky.
I'm going to turn this down because I think everyone is experiencing the pain that I am experiencing with these highs. Oof. I'm listening super.
You probably saw my reaction.
Oh, I'm listening quiet, and it's still hurting me, which is too bad because I'm a big fan of like fast, deep dubstep, dubstep with that kind of like wompy bass line. I love this kind of stuff, but that high sound is ouch, buddy, ouch. You gotta really like, yeah. Sometimes if you go to a lot of shows, like this style sounds like somebody who goes to festivals. If you go to festivals and you stand too close to the speakers, you may have lost a little bit of those highs. The good news is if it usually comes back, for at least for those of us who are under like 50, it's usually temporary sustain, but ouch. Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Oh. And it's dope. Like the drop is dope, and the rest of it is cool. And I would actually totally probably play this, but not only is it painful, it doesn't really give us a break. It's just like it needs
dolphin music.
It needs to breathe a little bit. You need to make it breathe a bit more. Like put some space, alternate it, shut it off, filter it, all this stuff. Okay. Oh, Natty, anything else before I go to the next one?
I mean, God, I mean, like, it's gonna give people headaches if you're not careful. I mean, you know, just roll off your highs, please. Use a de-esser on some of them as well. It'll help. Soothe. People swear by soothe. I still don't own soothe, but I mean, maybe I should, because for something like this, it'd be ideal.
Yes, soothe would be great.
Soothe people's ears.
Soothe would be great. Soothe would pull that down right away. Although the thing is like soothe is more like it's great for dynamics, but if you actually just know what that one frequency is, you can just use a regular EQ and cut it. Because like it's not like this.
Yeah,
it's not like this high sound is like changing notes or something, right? It's the same sound, so we don't really need to track the frequency. I think just a plain old notch, like sweep around.
Soothe could
find
cause
that
distortion, Becco says,
point.
because too much for it to handle.
Oh, like.
It might be true.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry, Morty. I really actually like this track. I really do. It just like that frequency was quite intense. So
yeah, I wouldn't worry about mastering. Like, you know, get your mix right first. Focus on that, and you know, you can always just chuck a gain on it afterwards if you really need to make it loud.
Okay, sweet. Did Heist upload something else for us?
I have not seen anything.
All right,
anywhere.
Heist. Well,
so, I mean,
we're kind of getting to that point, so we're just gonna close out, I think, and then look next week we can put you up first with if you want to double check the link. And sorry for that confusion. Hopefully we can get you sorted. And thank you as always for your support. But yeah, we're gonna move on to our closer of the night, which is Bako Bibizo. Again, thank you for your amazing support of the channel, of the show in general. Just as a human, you are a real pleasure to know. So thank you so much for all this stuff. Where is the Bako link? Everything has gotten so bad. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. Wow, what a crazy day. And thank you for everyone who donated. We are so appreciative of you for keeping us going.
To yourself, just take a breath and try to stand up.
Okay, so I like this half here. I like these floating sounds you got going a lot. I think, you were saying earlier when I was commenting on a different remix, Baco, that you had been told that the processing was too much and you should go more natural. Well, I think in both cases, the other track and yours, the problem is that the processing is static and it should move. Like, Madian does this heavy processing and it works because stuff is automating. So like he's got this heavy note and then like the formant moves and then the distortion moves. And so all the time there are like multiple movements going on in the effects of his vocals. So the heavy processing is cool because it's like a sound design movement. So yeah, I like the processing, but I think it needs to change and up and be cut up and all the stuff. You already heard my advice earlier, so I think that's the main thing I hear. And then go with those like bell high sounds. They're really, really pretty. And the shakery sounds are a bit too much. I think they need to be low cut a little bit maybe, or mid cut and pulled back a little bit, maybe spaced out. Like they are stereo panned, but almost like within themselves, their frequencies are just too thick. So I almost want to hear like a moving panning with those things. That is what I would do. What would you do, Nathaniel?
I mean, Baco's had some feedback on an earlier version of this, and it has changed since the last time I heard it a bit. But in terms of arrangement, my thoughts on the original still stand in that your intro doesn't scream loud enough. Like it sort of just does this sort of basic bassline thing, and then it gets on with the verse. And I still feel like if you want to give your remix the best shot, it's to bring some of your late second half elements forward and, just sort of scream and shout what makes your remix cool before people get to the verse, because that'll hook them. And then they're like, oh, this is actually something familiar. And then, that's kind of the vibe I've been getting with this one, that you need to go weird and crazy and fun before you reintroduce the remix elements, because then I think it'll be an easier sell.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously that's preference. I mean, like a lot of our feedback, it's not a hard science. None of this is.
I love the way you say science. Science. It's not the hard science. None of it is.
I'm not that Scottish. Thanks.
No, you're not. I kind of just wish that you were. So in my head, I exaggerated.
What, that I was Glaswegian or from Edinburgh?
Listen, I read Trainspotting the
Fife.
book and watched the movie. Of course, I'm going to date myself right now, but like when Trainspotting the movie came out, I was in high school and I was like, Johnny Lee Miller is hot. Scottish accents are hot. Speaking like a Scotsman is hot. So I think in my mind, I just exaggerate.
I'll have to buy you a kill t-shirt.
Oh my God. Yes. But thank you so much, Natty. As always, I'm really excited for our next upcoming in Barcelona Audience. So I'm losing my mind because I'm doing two events at once. Next is online only. It's September 14th.
It's in your bedroom.
It's in your bedroom. It's going to be the final judging of the remix competition on Audience, as well as round 3 of LBC. Then round 4 and the finals will be September 29th in Barcelona. There we go, folks. I can organize.
We got it.
Like an adult. Thank you. Any last words, Natty?
I mean, make sure you submit your remixes on time. Also, the remix rules require you to be a member of all 3 Discord servers, so make sure you're joining all 3 of those. I have been trying to remind people over Twitter as well from the EDMP account, but I mean, it's always important to remember.
It is true. Please join all the Discords.
Also looking forward to hearing all of them.
And if you are interested in getting a hold of Jam Pro and playing with the stems, you can either shoot me a message on Discord or you can check the ILBC social media. I'll be publishing a link to get it tomorrow. If you're interested in participating in the ILBC virtual round as a competitor to do a live electronic set, go to ilbc.tv/virtual round and you can apply. I love you all. And Natty, I think it's time for us to sing good night.